All right, let's dive into a big one today. Nihilism. Yeah, I know, the word itself sounds pretty heavy, maybe even a little depressing. But what if I told you that this philosophy of nothingness actually holds a surprising key to real freedom? Let's get into it. So, let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of it all. Think about your job, your relationships, your biggest wins, your worst regrets, all of it. Now, zoom out. From the massive, cold, cosmic perspective of the entire universe, do any of those things truly matter? So where does this word even come from? Well, it's from the Latin word nihil, which literally means nothing. And that's the core idea right there. The things we build our lives around, purpose, values, even knowledge, they don't have any built-in objective meaning. The nihilist argument is that we are the ones who invent all that meaning, pretty much just to make ourselves feel a bit more comfortable. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we gotta break it down. Nihilism is basically built on what you could call three pretty unsettling truths. First up, we have existential nihilism. You know, this is the whole idea that there's no grand plan for your life, no destiny written in the stars. From the universe's point of view, there's not much difference between a person and, say, a rock. We tell ourselves these great stories about how important we are, but the cosmos was here long before us, and it'll be here long after we're gone. We're just a blink. Next is epistemological nihilism, and this one messes with the very idea of knowledge itself. I mean, think about it. Gravity was doing its thing for billions of years before Newton ever thought to name it. What we call knowledge is just a tiny, tiny drop in this massive ocean of reality that we can barely even comprehend. So this part of nihilism basically says that claiming we truly know anything for sure is, well, kind of arrogant. And finally, there's moral nihilism. This is the big one for a lot of people. It's the idea that there's no objective good or bad. Morality, it argues, isn't some universal law. It's just a flexible, man-made system we created to keep society from falling apart and to justify our own gut feelings. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. In that first scenario, person A is clearly the villain, right? But in the second one, suddenly they're the hero. The action is exactly the same, but the context, the story we tell about it, changes everything. Moral nihilism just points to this and says, see, it's not a fixed law. It's a story, and the story changes depending on who's telling it. Okay, I know. Everything we've talked about so far sounds like a real downer, but this is where it all takes a fascinating turn, a pivot. Because if nothing really matters, well, what if that's actually a good thing? This is where we get into something called optimistic nihilism. And this is the mind flip right here. If there's no grand cosmic plan for you, then there's also no grand cosmic score sheet for all your mess-ups, all those mistakes you made, those epic failures, that one moment that makes you cringe just thinking about it. In the grand scheme of things, they're just as meaningless as everything else. And if they don't really matter, then why are you giving them so much power over you? So let's bring this down from the cosmos and into our actual lives. How can we take this giant philosophical idea and actually use it? You know, when we're dealing with real-world stress at work or the pain of a tough breakup. And here's the key takeaway, really. Accepting meaninglessness isn't about giving up. It's about letting go. It frees you from the crushing weight of what other people expect, and maybe even what you expect from yourself. When you stop worrying about finding your one true purpose, you can actually start living your life for yourself, right here, right now. Okay, let's get specific. Think about work. You know that big presentation you completely bombed? The one you replayed in your head 100 times thinking about what your boss thought? An optimistic nihilist would just say, so what? In a universe that's 13.8 billion years old, that one bad meeting is nothing. It's less than a blip. And when you realize that, the sting of that failure just kind of loses its power. And it's the exact same thing with relationships. A really painful breakup can feel like your whole world is ending. I get it. It feels all-consuming. But this way of thinking lets you zoom out. It helps you see that moment as just one event among trillions of others happening on this tiny little speck of dust we call Earth. It doesn't magically erase the pain, no, but it puts it in perspective. It keeps it from swallowing you whole. So, let's pull all this together. We can actually flip these really harsh-sounding nihilistic truths into a powerful, even liberating mantra for how we live our lives. I know it sounds brutal, but just hear me out. 1, you are not special. What that really means is you're free. Free from that insane pressure to be extraordinary or change the world. 2, you are worthless, in the cosmic sense that is, and that frees you from constantly trying to prove your value to other people.
And when you're free from all of that, well then, you're truly free. Free to decide for yourself what actually matters to you.
So you see, nihilism doesn't have to be this big, dark, scary dead end. It can be a starting point. It just wipes the slate clean. If there's no script to follow and no meaning you're supposed to find, then the power to create that meaning is entirely in your hands. So the real question isn't what does it all mean? The real question is, what are you going to paint on that canvas?